Greetings. Welcome to Driving School King. Lesson number 2. In this lesson, we will talk about horizontal road signs, lanes, intersections, and their division.
The act governing road traffic on roads in the territory of the Czech Republic is Act No. 361 2000. Road signs in the Czech Republic are regulated by the Ministry of Transport and the police. Signs are nearly the same as the European norm, but with small changes. For example, text is in the Czech language, some differences are in color. The law governing road signs is Decree No. 30/2001, many times amended and replaced by Decree 294/2015, in force since January 1, 2016. Czech road signs depict people with realistic, as opposed to stylized, silhouettes. As already mentioned in lesson number 1, horizontal road signs, further as road marks, are used independently or in addition to vertical road signs. They stress or refine their meaning. Road marks are marked by color or in another comprehensible way.
Permanent road marks are typically of a white color and are primarily used to clarify the meaning of vertical road signs.
A continuous longitudinal line separates the lanes. The marking must not be crossed even by a cargo, unless it is unnecessary for bypassing a standing vehicle or an obstacle, turning to a place outside the road or entering a road from a place outside the road. On a two-way road, drivers must go to the right of the mark. A dual continuous longitudinal line possesses a similar meaning to the classic longitudinal continuous line. The difference is the double longitudinal line must not be crossed by the driver even when turning to a place lying outside the road. For example, a car park. A longitudinal dashed line is used to mark in separate lanes between each other. It is used on a two-way road and where there is sufficient outlook for overtaking, not requiring increased attention. The line may be crossed in accordance with the relevant provisions of the general road traffic regulations. If a longitudinal line supplemented with a continuous dashed line separates a two-way road, only the right line from this pair of lines is valid for the driver. If this marking marks lanes in a one-way direction, the meaning of a closer line applies to the driver. A lateral continuous line marks the edge of an intersection. It can be used to sufficiently indicate the stopping position of the vehicle in the intersection area. The marking may be supplemented with a give-way road sign or stop and give-way road sign.
A pedestrian crossing indicates an area intended for pedestrians crossing the road. In some cases, the driver is notified about a crosswalk already in advance by warning and informative road signs. Pedestrians typically have right-of-way when crossing the road over the crosswalk. A place for crossing indicates an area intended for pedestrians crossing the road. The driver of the vehicle must not endanger the pedestrian on the place for crossing. In this case, the driver has the right-of-way at this point. A crossing for cyclists indicates the area intended for cyclists crossing over the road. Appearance looks similar to the place for crossing, but the lines are thicker. Cyclists don't have the right-of-way. Directional arrows indicate the way drivers are shifted to the lanes in front of the intersection or the turning point in the intended driving direction. The arrows can equally be used to confirm the specified driving direction. Preliminary arrows accurately indicate the approaching transition of the longitudinal dashed line in a continuous line and the associated driver's obligation to return to the appropriate lane in time.
Preliminary arrows, in this case, mark the approaching end of the driving lane. Drivers are required to pass to the appropriate continuing lane in time. Longitudinal, perpendicular and angled parking lines accurately indicate the permissible stopping and standing style. When standing, the vehicle must not exceed the marked area by its contour or load. Reserved parking lines indicate permitted stopping and standing places. When standing, the vehicle must not exceed the marked area by its contour or load. On the additional panel, it is possible to mark by the appropriate inscription for whom the parking is reserved. A reserved car park for a vehicle carrying a heavily disabled person or a person with severely disabled mobility. On an area marked by this mark, only vehicles with designated parking card indicating the vehicle is transporting a person severely disabled can stop. A limited residential parking. In the specific section marked with this marking, the parking is allowed under the conditions established by the vertical road sign. This marking is typically used for residential parking spots.
Bus and tram stops. The marking marks the bus or tram stop area. Drivers are not required to go round the marked area. However, they cannot stop at a given location. A white zigzag line marking alerts the driver to a specific location requiring extra caution.
An oblique parallel lines marking typically indicates the area into which it is forbidden to enter or interfere even with cargo, unless it is necessary for overtaking, turning to a place outside the road or entering the road from a place outside the road.
A lane for cyclists marking features a trail for cyclists. Arrows indicate the direction of travel. The lane may be supplemented with a vertical road sign reserved lane.
A pictogram corridor for cyclists marking marks the area and direction of the ride of cyclists. Drivers are warned about increased cycle traffic on the road. A bicycle area marking features a space reserved for cyclists waiting for the go green light signal. This area is designed for cyclists, so other drivers cannot stop vehicles over the stated area. A safe distance marking provides a basic orientation for the driver regarding the safe distance of consecutive moving vehicles. The mark is typically completed with the appropriate vertical road sign indicating the number of characters the driver should see in the space between the vehicles.
A triangle's mark indicates the road roughness, for example a slowing threshold created by the construction treatment.
An optical brake marking optically and also acoustically leads the driver to reduce the vehicle speed.
An inscription on a roadway marking expresses various additional information. Appropriate symbols are used to clarify the meaning. Not all permanent road signs have to be just white colored. Following list of road marks are marked by yellow color. The yellow zigzag line indicates an area where parking is prohibited. Yellow crossed lines marking indicates the area which the driver must not enter if there is such a traffic situation where he would be forced to stop the vehicle over the marked area.
No stopping and no parking lines. The marking is carried out as a yellow line at the edge of the road and indicates a section where stopping or stopping and standing is prohibited. It can also be marked on the curb next to the road.
Temporary road marks are always marked with yellow or orange color and are used for example during road work, to indicate lane changes, etc.
Temporary horizontal marking is used for example by rescue system, during accidents, designation of building sites or to highlight temporary changes on the road. The appearance of these markings is the same as for permanent road marks, the change is in color only. If temporary symbols, for example arrows, crosswalks, are used on the road, the marking is formed by its outlines only. Take a look at a few examples.
If there is any conflict between permanent, white, road marks and temporary, yellow, road marks, drivers are required to follow temporary yellow marks only.
Part 2. Driving in traffic lanes. Driving in traffic lanes is governed by the Road Traffic Act 361/2000, in particular in Section 3, paragraphs 11 to 15. On the road, drivers drive on the right and unless there are special circumstances, at the right edge of the road, unless otherwise specified. If drivers drive the same way as shown, they do not have sufficient space to maneuver, and in a case of sudden evasive maneuver of the oncoming vehicle, they cannot react in time. Drivers must pay attention to two important things: a sufficient distance from the edge of the roadway because of a risk of a possible crash into the curb, but also lateral distance from the oncoming vehicle. Drivers must not forget about safe lateral distance. In this case, there is a risk of collision. If there is not enough space for the driver to get around the obstacle, it is considerably safer to wait until the oncoming vehicle passes by. Don't forget, if a driver wants to avoid an obstacle, he must not limit nor endanger the oncoming vehicles, but also any vehicle which already started to overtake him from behind.
It is easy to see in the side mirrors whether the vehicle behind you is far enough. If the vehicle is touching the edges of the mirror, it is very close. Do not start overtaking. If the vehicle is visible in full, it is far enough away. In the picture, you can see two lanes which converge to one. It is not possible to find out which one of them is a continuous lane, and because of that, in such case, vehicles going in the right lane have the right of way. The red vehicle will thus go as first. If both drivers of the pink and blue vehicles decide simultaneously that they will pass over to the middle lane, then, according to law, the vehicle passing over from the right lane has the right of way. In this case, it means that pink vehicle goes as first. In a case when two lanes converge into one, drivers driving in a continuous lane let vehicles from the lane which ends ahead to join their lane. It requires that drivers in both lanes maintain a sufficient distance between themselves, and therefore they would not have to stop.
In an urban area on a road with two or more lanes marked on the road in one driving direction, the driver of a motor vehicle may use any lane for driving. If vehicles in one lane go faster than vehicles in other lanes, it is not considered to be overtaking. However, drivers in left lanes are not allowed to limit the traffic flow. In other words, if the driver in a left lane sees a faster car in the rearview mirror, he is obliged to change lanes to the right and let the faster vehicle go. In a driving school, it is always better to stay in the right lane because of limiting other drivers. Outside the urban area on a road with two or more lanes marked on the road in one direction, drivers drive in the right lane and are allowed to drive in the other lanes only if it is necessary for going around, overtaking, U-turn or turning. This means that after overtaking, drivers must return back to the right lane. Drivers should use auxiliary or turn lane in its whole length. An auxiliary lane is used for sufficient acceleration to the same speed as drivers going in the continuous lane. When driving in the auxiliary lane, the driver must be aware of movements of vehicles going in the continuous lane and watch it in the rearview mirror, and then choose the appropriate speed, either accelerate or decelerate. It is undesirable to stop in the auxiliary lane. If you already have to stop, bear in mind that joining the continuous lane will be much more difficult, especially on a highway. It is because the vehicle accelerates gradually after stopping. An ordinary vehicle accelerates in 10 to 12 seconds to the speed of 100 km/h. A frequent phenomenon on the road is the situation in the picture. Reserved lanes are often marked on the right side. The reserved lane ends and converges with one lane for other vehicles. Bear in mind that you must allow all vehicles to exit the reserved lane. Cyclists, public transport, taxi, police, etc.
The driver entering a roundabout marked with traffic signs roundabout along with the traffic sign give right of way or stop. Give right of way must give way to vehicles and riders on animals already going on the roundabout. The driver is obliged to use the indicator only when leaving the roundabout. If the driver indicates already when entering the roundabout, this means he will leave the roundabout using the very first exit. In this picture, you can see a situation, which looks like a roundabout. Be noticed, that road signs roundabout are missing. This is just a basic intersection with right-hand priority rule. Drivers can go both left and right. Don't forget, drivers are not allowed to enter the intersection in a situation like this. The blue vehicle is trapped in the intersection and blocks traffic flow now. In this case, if an ambulance arrives at the intersection, it cannot pass through it.
In this situation, the driver of a blue vehicle on the bottom of the picture is turning left. As he turns left from one lane into two lanes, he may choose in which lane he wants to continue. If both drivers are turning the same direction, in this case from 2 lanes into 3 lanes, the driver on the right uses the right lane, the driver on the left uses the left lane. Drivers are not allowed to change lanes while turning. Don't forget that driver who is turning left is obliged to yield all oncoming vehicles. In this case, the driver of the green car may choose which lane he wants to use, the driver of the red car must wait. The intersection term and driving through intersections are given in paragraphs 2, 21, 22, 61, 70, 75 and 76 of the Road Traffic Act 361 2000.
An intersection is a place where 2 or more roads intersect or connect. An outfall of field or forest road or the other purpose road to another road is not considered to be an intersection. Following pictures show typical examples of places that are not considered as an intersection. An outfall of field or purpose road. An exit from a purpose road. The validity of road signs ends with the intersection. Therefore, it is important to know what is an intersection and what is not. The picture shows a typical situation where speed is limited to 40 km per hour. On the right, the driver passes an outfall of field. As it is not an intersection, the speed limit continues. The picture shows 2 intersections in an urban area. The first intersection is supplemented by a speed limit sign of 30 km per hour. Since there is no other road sign at the second intersection, the speed again increases to 50 km per hour. The picture shows 2 intersections in an urban area again. Both intersections are supplemented by speed limit signs of 30 km per hour. In this case, the speed limit continues.
An unmarked intersection. An unmarked intersection is any intersection, not marked by road signs regulating the right-of-way. Here you can see all road signs regulating the right-of-way. You should already know their meaning since lesson number 1. Take a closer look at a few unmarked intersections. If you see a traffic sign in the picture, it is not a traffic sign regulating a right-of-way. It is still an unmarked intersection.
Remember a rule, so-called right-hand priority rule. If the driver wants to cross an unmarked intersection, he is obliged to respect the so-called right-hand priority rule. In other words, the driver who is entering an unmarked intersection is obliged to always check a right incoming lane by decelerating the vehicle and looking for any vehicles approaching from the right. If there are no vehicles approaching, the driver is allowed to continue his way. If there is any incoming vehicle, the driver is obliged to slow down or full stop and let the other vehicle go because it has right-of-way while going through the intersection. An unmarked intersection can be highlighted by one of two following road signs. These road signs inform the driver that he will soon approach an unmarked intersection, where he would not expect it.
Typical situation. The green vehicle crosses the intersection first because it is coming to the yellow vehicle from the right. The red vehicle passes through the intersection first. He has no vehicle on his right. Then the green vehicle and the yellow vehicle at the end. In this case, it is necessary for drivers to agree with each other about the right-of-way. There is no clear rule for this situation. To remind, the driver, who turns left at the intersection, gives way to oncoming vehicles. In the video, you can see a situation where the driver of a green vehicle didn't give right-of-way to the vehicle coming from the right.
Unmarked intersection recapitulation. 1. Right-of-way is not regulated by the road signs, nor traffic lights. 2. Right-hand priority rule is applied. 3. Drivers are needed to slow down and clearly check for any vehicles approaching from the right. When there is a vehicle approaching, drivers are needed to slow down or even stop. 4. Not just motorized vehicles, but also cyclists have right-of-way when approaching from the right.
A marked intersection. A marked intersection simply represents an intersection, where main and side roads are marked by road signs regulating the right-of-way. Take a closer look at few examples again. Notice road signs regulating a right-of-way in the pictures. The main road sign is placed in front of the intersection. If the main road is to continue, it is necessary to place a new road sign before the next intersection again.
At the nearest intersection beyond this road sign, the driver must give a right-of-way. He is not needed to stop the vehicle if he has a sufficient outlook. Contrary to the previous situation, this road sign instructs the driver to stop the vehicle in a place from where he has an adequate insight into the intersection. Additional panels are very important because they inform about the actual shape of the intersection. The main road, as well as the side road, do not always have to be straight. The thick line is the main road, the thinner lines are the side roads. The picture shows that the main road leads from the bottom to the right. As a vehicle coming from the bottom and a vehicle coming from the right are both on the main road, then there is a risk of collision. Right-hand priority rule is applied again.
A marked intersection recapitulation. 1. Right-of-way is regulated by road signs regulating a right-of-way. Not all road signs are regulating a right-of-way. 2. Drivers driving on the main road usually have a right-of-way when going through the intersection. 3. Stop sign orders a driver to stop the vehicle, no matter if the main road is occupied or not. 4. Additional panels are very important. Sometimes they change the meaning of road signs completely.
A controlled intersection. Controlled intersections can be found practically on every corner. Controlled intersections can be recognized very easily. They are controlled either by traffic lights or by a police officer.
The red traffic light notifies the driver to stop the vehicle in front of the intersection. The driver is obliged to stop the vehicle completely. It is recommended to disengage the gearbox and then stand on the brake pedal only when standing for a long time. The red color, together with the yellow color, notifies the driver to prepare the vehicle for the ride. For the driver, this means he should put the first gear and wait for the green signal. The green color allows the driver to continue driving. However, the driver must be cautious when turning. In some cases, he must give way to other road users. The yellow traffic light notifies the driver to stop the vehicle. In a few moments, the traffic light switches to red. The driver is allowed to cross the intersection only if he is unable to safely stop the vehicle. The yellow, flashing traffic light notifies the driver that the traffic lights are down. In this case, the driver must follow the road signs and follow them.
The traffic light is always superior to traffic signs regulating the right-of-way. Thus, if the green light is on at the traffic light and a traffic sign with a stop symbol is located next to the traffic light, the driver continues driving without stopping. Traffic lights are divided into two categories: a collision traffic light with full circular lights and collision-free traffic light with directional arrows. When driving straight through a collision light, the driver always has the right way to go. However, when turning, the driver is obliged to give way to oncoming vehicles and trams in both directions. Furthermore, the driver must not forget about pedestrians who also have priority at the pedestrian crossing. When driving through a collision-free traffic light, the driver always has the right way to go. When turning, the driver does not need to give way to oncoming vehicles or trams in both directions. Pedestrians have a red light and therefore must not enter the crossing. However, there is one exception. The exception is yellow pedestrian-shaped light. In this case, the driver must give priority to pedestrians at the crossing when turning right. The last light at the traffic light is the so-called complementary arrow. Don't confuse this arrow with a collision-free traffic light. It is a green arrow placed next to a red light. In this case, the driver can turn right. However, the driver must look to the left, as vehicles coming from the left can also have a green light and have a right-of-way.
The police officer is superior to traffic lights and all traffic signs. Officers regulate traffic at the intersection rarely. However, it is important to recognize all of their commands. Stop signal. The police officer always stands in the middle of an intersection. The police officer has his arms outstretched. This order applies to drivers who approach the police officer from the front and the rear. This instruction symbolizes the red traffic light. Warning signal. If a police officer has a raised hand over his head, this instruction means no entry into the intersection for all traffic participants. This instruction symbolizes the yellow light. Go signal. If a police officer stands sideways to the driver at an intersection, the driver is instructed to drive. The driver can also turn in all directions. This instruction symbolizes the green light. Triple enclosure. Drivers incoming to police officer's left side may continue in any direction. Drivers incoming towards a police officer may go right only. All other drivers have to stop. In conclusion, in lesson number 2 we learned about horizontal traffic signs. We also got to know the intersections and basic rules of driving through intersections. Next time, in lesson number 3. Speed limits, overtaking, tunnels, U-turns, trams, railway crossings. Thank you for your attention.